Hi, it's Howard here again, and I can't help wondering, is the Olympus 35 SP really as good as they say it is? I mean, some say it's the best 35mm rangefinder camera ever made, but I reckon that's a pretty big claim. Let's have a really good look and see what we think. I'll just get rid of Mickey. Okay, its strengths. First of all, there's no doubt the superb G-Zuico 42mm 7-element f1.7 multi-coated lens really is a superb lens. They apparently chose 42mm focal length because it closely approximates the way our eyes see the world. It's also got centre-weighted metering with spot metering as required, a unique feature in a rangefinder camera. I don't think there's any others that have that spot metering facility. Also, it'll handle 25 through to 800 ASA or ISO, depending on your preference. I mean, if you want to use the spot metering, you simply, the shutter's cocked. When everything else is ready, you just hold in the spot button as you take the shot, and that's it. The build quality is very good. As Japanese cameras go, this is solid as a rock. It's a beautifully built camera. And also, for those of us who wear glasses, the viewfinder is fine. So you can see the scale across the top, the needle, no problem with glasses on. It has full auto exposure or shutter priority metered manual or full manual, so it can be used without a battery. And the hot shoe, if you know the guide number for your electronic flash, you can enter it and it just use the guide number scale log there for the Flashmatic system. So as you focus, it sets the flash automatically. It's got a lovely short focusing tab, so from infinity to close up is very short throw, and it's nice big tab, and it's really well positioned, so there's no effort in focusing it. That works really well. It's got a lovely bright viewfinder and a rangefinder patch, it's nice and clear. Unlike a lot of cameras, it really hasn't lost any brightness throughout the years, or at least my example hasn't, and this was fairly well used when I bought it. Mine's an SPN, which is slightly later model, so the only difference between the SP and the SPN is this battery check light button here, and that little light lights up there. Okay, so there are its strengths. What are its weaknesses? Well, really, there's very few. The metering is not within the lens area, so as you know, with a lot of cameras, they have the light cell just somewhere in here, and when you put a filter on, that's automatically adjusted for. Well, that doesn't happen here in this case, because the metering is done up in the right-hand corner here. So if you use color filters or anything like that, you're going to have to adjust for that manually. Also, inside the viewfinder and the scale, the range across the top here is the old EV system instead of f-stops. So that's not too popular these days. F-stops would be nicer, but it's a small problem. It's a bit of a bummer. And one of the bigger issues, and all the cameras of this vintage suffered this, it was built for the 1.35 volt mercury battery. Now you can buy an adapter. I bought a nice little adapter which converts 1.5 volts down to 1.35 or 1.4 volts, I think it is actually. And then with an SR43 or LR43 button cell in there, you can use that, and that will give you the correct voltage, so the meter readings will all be correct. As an alternate to that, there is also a wine cell. That's WEIN, not WINE, and they're a zinc air cell, and they are the correct voltage. Strangely, unlike most cameras, there's no depth of field scale anywhere on here, but that's a fairly minor issue as well. So that's about all I can come up with for negatives. So I think we'd all have to agree that the positives far outweigh the negatives. So what's the verdict on all this? Well, I think, yes, it is one of the best 35mm range cameras ever sold. So if you're considering buying one, you really can't go too far wrong. Just make sure that it's in good shape and that everything works. And I think you'll be very happy with it. I'm certainly very happy with mine, I must admit. Okay, so hopefully you've found this little video useful or entertaining, and if you have, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Thumbs up and subscribe. It costs you nothing, but sort of inspires me to bumble on and do a few more of these. Anyhow, thanks, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.